Thanks for joining us. It's a Wednesday, hump day. Adam Deal, Charles Ashley, talking bracketology here. Well, no longer bracketology. We know the brackets, so let's look at them and review them and see what our matchups are, Charles. And let's look on the girls' side real quick of 6A. And who are your favorites out of this? I think it's obvious to say Clovis. It's obvious to say Cibola. Where else is your mind going?
I really believe Alamogordo is going to give La Cueva a fight. I think they're going to put up a fight. I like Santa Fe and Cruces. That's another matchup I think that can go either way because Santa Fe, defending state champions from last year, playing a tough district. They jumped up in class. They had not a bad year for jumping up. They did a lot better than the boys. But what about that Carlsbad and Volcano Vista? You know, Volcano Vista, defending state champions, a lot of pride on that team, playing a tough district. My biggest upset, I think, is going to be that Santa Fe Cruces. I'm going with that. What about you? I'm
going to go with basically
all the favorites.
And I think Clovis will end up winning the state championship against Cibola. I'm hoping we'll see a Clovis versus Cibola. And I think Hobbs will end up clipping La Cueva in that quarterfinal matchup. I think it's a very good matchup. Hobbs has had a great season. They've just been in a really tough district. That was a tough district this year on the girls' side, at least, with Clovis and Alamogordo and Carlsbad.
Yeah, tough for the girls. The guys had a little of a down year. But I don't know if Cibola is going to have such an easy road. As you mentioned, they'll have to see
it's a tough
Volcano
road.
again.
It's a very tough road.
You have a young team.
Potentially Las Cruces.
Potentially Volcano.
Mayfield, who's
those are some
really good
heavyweights you're talking about. And you're a Cibola team where you're a little younger. But that's probably a good thing, too, because the girls are just playing off of just pure talent. They don't have anything psychological going on from last season, thinking like, oh, man, we got to face Mayfield. They don't know they don't care. They're just going to play.
Let's look at the boys' side, Charles, and let's get our favorites right away. Let's get going. I don't think La Cueva should make the trip up to Tasker Arena. I don't think they should.
You think it's a waste of gas money?
Frank Castillo knows I respect him.
Yes, we do, Frank. We respect Coach a lot.
I'm just saying, I think Hobbs is that good. Maybe the most interesting matchup is the 8-9 right there, West Mesa taking on Las Cruces. What are your preliminary thoughts there?
I mean, I've seen Cruces twice. They're always going to be disciplined. Coach Benjamin, he's been here before. West Mesa, they haven't been here before. They rely on junior Drew Asana. Coach Schreier's a good coach. It's at home. It's going to be close. I think West Mesa is going to pull this off because they have the advantage of being at home. And it's a slight advantage, but that's enough for me to pick them.
I don't know where to go here. West Mesa's let me down so many times this year. Every time I start picking them, they do get the 8 seed. Las Cruces and Coach William Benjamin coming into town. I've seen this story before, and that's why I think I'm going to go with Las Cruces because every time the state tournament rolls around, Las Cruces kind of figures it out, at least to get to the pit. So I think maybe something to prove. I know Las Cruces thinks they should have had a home game, and maybe so by criteria, no, but maybe other reasons. So I'm going to take Las Cruces in that 8-9 matchup. But looking back at the bracket, Charles, I think the roads are more favorable for Cleveland. And even Rio Rancho, I think, has the matchups that they probably prefer to get to the semifinals. Now, if you look at Cleveland's side of the bracket, when we pull up the 6A boys bracket again, they're going to take on Atrisco, who is a little bit depleted right now. Their bench is not deep. They have lost their guard. I believe it's Chris Trujillo for the season, right?
Starting point guard.
And that's just difficult for them. So I think Cleveland has a great first-round matchup, and I believe that Cleveland also would have a favorable second-round matchup with either Volcano Vista or Sandia. I think Coach Smith has to be happy with that road to the Final Four.
It is, but I doubt he wants to see Volcano again because, as you mentioned, the district folds.
Sure, it could be
a tough matchup. I like Sandia. They're clicking on all cylinders right now. So if Cleveland can get through Atrisco, who they have a little extra motivation because Atrisco beat them last year and knocked them out this tournament. So Cleveland can repay the favor this time by knocking Atrisco out. I think Volcano's going to struggle against Sandia, especially if they slow it down. Sandia's too big of a team where you want to slow it down because that enables the bigs to stay fresh, get rebounds, finish in the paint. But a matchup I like, Carlsbad, Rio Grande. And I'm going to tell you why. There's not enough current tape on this Rio Grande team where people can say, oh, well, what type of team are they? Because this is a lot different team.
They're going to be difficult for Carlsbad. I just think going to Carlsbad in the end is the toughest thing. I know Jimenez didn't like that when he saw that seed. I promise you that. So Carlsbad will take on Rio Grande. So let's move on, Charles, real quick, and let's talk about some of these best matchups. My favorites, I'm going to go all top four,
All
by the
top
way,
four?
in that
Okay.
top six. At least originally, I think. I think it will be Rio Rancho, the 4 seed, taking on Hobbs in the Final Four, and I think it will be Cleveland taking on Carlsbad. What do you think, real quick?
I think Hobbs is going to come out to play Valley, and I'm going with, I want to see Albuquerque behind Cleveland. I think that will be the best matchup because you have good guard play versus a team full of athletes, and they've never matched up. Out of all this list, they've never matched up, so I would like to see that matchup. But I think Valley's going to come out that side, man. I like
It'll be
Valley.
interesting if Rio Rancho and Valley meet up. I would love to see that matchup as well. I think it's all intriguing. So that's what we're talking about now, dangerous matchups. But I want to talk about the first round, and you look at it. You mentioned it already. Sandy, I think, is going to be a difficult game for Volcano Vista. I'm curious what the pace of that game is going to be. I can see that one going either way, but Charles, I'm just going to get straight to it. I think Sandia will win at Volcano Vista. I just think their two bigs are going to be too much on the inside. David Cormier is playing really good.
True.
So is Caleb Dixon for
True.
Volcano Vista, but I don't think they match up against Caleb Wharton.
Well, they're playing bigs of a different caliber, I believe, and that's no knock on anyone in that district. But Roden and Abbott are different type of bigs. These are the offense goes through these two, which is opposed to Cleveland, where Jones facilitates, Williams gets the ball. There's no post in Rio Rancho. They're more of a running gun team. Cibola, even with Cunningham and my man Buttery Hands Liddell, even with that, it's a different type of big. They're more athletic bigs.
Let me ask you
These
this.
are real bigs.
We haven't talked about this team at all. Oñate, can they come in?
They
got to
go to Valley,
They're
man.
going to slow the game down.
They have to
Coach
go to Valley.
Perez, he's got a championship. They are going to Valley. You think they have any chance at all?
Oh, yeah, they got a chance.
Gadsden,
I like Johnny
Are you
McCants.
going to give Gadsden any chance against Rio Rancho?
Yeah, you have to. Any teams that slow the ball up and are disciplined and they stick to their guns or whatnot will always have a chance. That's why I always thought that Gadsden and Oñate were tough draws, because if they get you playing their pace of game, they start to get you a little rattled. You start getting out of your nature. You're used to scoring 70 points a game, and now you look at the scoreboard and it's only 40 points and there's 2 minutes left in the game. I think that's when nerves come into play. So I like Gadsden, but I don't think they're going to win it.
Timeout. We're going to break down the seeding process and what we liked and didn't like when you return. Keep it right here. It's uSports Central.